Hello everyone, this is Andrew Kell and I'm standing by at this time with James Maritato, formerly known as Little Guido in ECW and WWE as Nunzio. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And I wanted to ask you...
former WWE Cruiserweight Champion. If you're going to do the credentials, do them right.
Former Cruiserweight Champion, former
ECW
Tag Team Champion.
I got to tell you who I am?
No. If I haven't watched ECW in the 90s, then I'm a dumpski, you know? But... You were trained by Billy Robinson. Like, what was that like? I mean, was he stiff? Like, how was he as a trainer?
Well, I was actually trained by Mighty Mike Masters and Gino Caruso in American-style pro wrestling back in the early 90s. When I went to work for UWFI, which was a shoot group out in Japan, I was trained by Billy Robinson in the shoot style. But in American-style pro wrestling, I was trained by Gino Caruso, Rocky Jones, and actually the Kodiak Bear. But Billy Robinson was a whole new game. He was a vicious, violent person, but I had a great relationship with him, and he was rugged, but he taught me the true reality of what professional wrestling is, and God bless his soul right now.
And how did you end up in ECW?
Well, I knew Tommy Dreamer, Taz, and all those guys for working for the Savoldis back in the early 90s. And then I went to Japan, actually, and was working with Billy Robinson and them, and then ECW started coming about. And when ECW closed down in 1994, 95, when I came back home, I gave Taz a call. I gave Tommy Dreamer a call, and he's like, hey, come down to Philly. I'll introduce you to Paul Heyman. We have this thing going on. So I went down there and, met Paulie. And, I was working as Damian Stone back then. And then he always had this idea for a character for me. He always thought I reminded him of like a Joe Pesci type of guy, small guy with a big mouth. And so he's like, oh, you're like a Joe Pesci, you're like a little guy. I want you to be a little rugged guy. And, then he came up with the Little Guido character, and he put me with J.T. Smith, who people think I was the original FBI member. Actually, J.T. Smith was the original. I've had a whole host of partners throughout the years, but J.T. Smith was actually the original FBI member.
And speaking of FBI, you have any good Tommy Rich or Tracy Smother stories, two legends of the business as well?
Oh, I got some stories I can't talk about here, but those guys were great, and they were great. That was another development of my career, where working with those guys taught me how to slow it down and how to work the old Southern style. We have a lot of good times, and great stories, but none I could share right now.
How about Big Sal? He's from Jersey City, like myself.
Yeah, I love Big Sal. He came in a little later on in my time. Used to ride on his shoulders. He was my limousine driver.
Oh, okay.
Physically. But Sal was good. He lost about 200 pounds. I don't know if you guys have seen him lately. But he's actually looking pretty good.
Find a picture of that.
Yeah.
Were you there the night when Rob Van Dam slapped Taz?
Yes, I was there the night Rob Van Dam slapped Taz. I wasn't in the room. I used to travel with Rob, so and that night we weren't traveling together for whatever reason. And for what I remember that night, Rob came in, and Rob's always like, "Hey, what's up?" Slow moving and everything. This one night, Rob came in real walking fast, and I was like, "Hey, Rob, what's up?" And I went to shake his hand, and he kind of just gave me a slap and kept walking. Not a slap, but like with my hand. I was like, oh, maybe he's pissed off. And then he went in, and all that stuff went down. So I wasn't in the room when it happened, but I was outside by the ring when he walked in. And then, he slapped him. And I forget actually what it was all about. But
some people were saying, I just wanted to dispel those rumors, because those internet, what was it that exactly, you said you don't remember, but...
No, I don't really remember what exactly transpired there. I think maybe Ted said something that he didn't like.
He said that Rob Van Dam were stiff with him or something. I just wanted to know if that was true or not. Maybe that was...
Yeah. Something about him being stiff, and he didn't say, maybe he said it behind his back and didn't tell him to his face, and he wanted to know, he wanted to hear it from him face to face and everything. And then, like I said, I wasn't in the room, and I heard many different, even though I was there, I heard many different stories about what happened, but I never really asked Taz about it, or Rob. It was just something that happened, and sucked.
What was your favorite match in ECW?
Very hard to say my favorite match in ECW, because I have so many, great matches with me and Tony Mamaluke. But I had one real good match I remember with Rob Van Dam in Chicago that I was very happy with. That aired on actually the ECW TV. Right. But one favorite match is hard for me to say. I don't have one favorite match. I have a bunch with three ways between me, Super Crazy, and Tajiri. I had some with me and Tony Mamaluke versus Tajiri and Mikey Whipwreck in the Hammerstein Ballroom. I had a lot of great matches, so it's hard to say just one. But
Well,
that was in ECW. I mean, one of my highlights of my career because I wrestled in WrestleMania 20, even though I was in a bunch of people were in that match. But just to wrestle in WrestleMania 20 at Madison Square Garden was a great experience, especially when WrestleMania 1, I'm from New York. My parents brought me to WrestleMania 1. I was there with me, my father, my brother. Whoever knew 20 years later I would be in WrestleMania 20 performing in front of my parents and my family,
And they were all there, your family was
everybody
there.
was there, yeah.
That's a great honor.
They weren't there in the first WrestleMania. It was me, my brother, and my father. When I performed, they were there. I mean, I wrestled in the Garden many a time since then, but just because it was WrestleMania.
Was that the first time you wrestled at the Garden?
No, I wrestled in the Garden before that.
Oh, okay.
But that was WrestleMania, so.
How you would touch on WWE. How soon after when ECW went out of business did you get contacted to be in the WWE?
It took a couple of years, when ECW went out, WCW went out right away. I was a mid-carder, basically, so, I had to wait till people get ciphered out. They took all the top guys in ECW, which were the Van Dams, Tommy Dreamer, Taz, Taz was there already. And then they took all the top guys in WCW, which was a whole host of guys. So kind of I got kind of lost in the shuffle. And then once the whole thing happened, as people got hired and got fired and left, 2 years later, when Paul Heyman became actually the booker for SmackDown, he actually is the one that actually got me into WWE and pushed my name to Vince and stuff because I knew Paulie obviously from ECW. So I took ECW went up in 2000. I started with WWE in 2002. So it's kind of like I had to wait for guys to get ciphered out. It's not that I knew that I had to wait. I was hoping to get in right away, but just time went on and it just didn't happen.
Now a lot of people don't know this, but you actually worked in the office in ECW with Tommy Dreamer and Bubba Ray Dudley,
Well, it was me, Tommy Dreamer, and Devon Dudley. We worked in a merchandise office. At that time, Bubba Ray Dudley and Mikey Ripwreck and Taz ran the wrestling school. So I used to work in the merchandise office, and I used to make all the. I used to send out all the orders for the shirts and the tapes and all that kind of stuff. Fans used to call, and we used to all have fake names because they didn't realize they were talking to.
Anybody ever recognize you?
No, because we all had. We put a fake name on. Nobody would ever know, and we never played to who we were. We just acted like we were. You're on the other end of the phone. I never talked like this. We used to have fun with it, though. Change our voices and, heckle the people. It was a good time. I used to push my own shirt.
Danny Doring and Roadkill, two ECW alums, they were actually had a dark match on, I believe, SmackDown, and they were wrestling you and another opponent. Can you elaborate on what went wrong with that tag team match or why they never got hired?
No. What you're talking about is the match where me and Mama Luke wrestled Danny Doring and Roadkill in Madison Square Garden. In around 2000, right when ECW closed down. And yes, I know exactly what happened there. When you do a dark match, it's the first match of the night. You really don't supposed to go out there and do all these big moves. Unfortunately, we came from ECW and we didn't know any better. And when you go out there and do the first match of the night, they're looking for an arm drag, a hip toss, and not looking for to do power bombs and all these high impact moves. So we were excited for that night, and we went out there and we did a typical ECW style match, first match of the night. We were hitting power slams, power bombs and all these high impact moves, and that's not what the office was looking for. They were looking for us just to go out there and work.
And it's hard for the other guys to follow that.
Yeah. Not that nobody could follow that, but it's not the right thing to do in the beginning, the first match of the night. So when we came back, the people loved it. Fans were going nuts, but it wasn't the right thing to do. So when we came back, the office was super upset at us and pissed off, and that could have hurt us, I think. That could have hurt us.
Who came up with the Nunzio character?
I think Paul Heyman came up with the numbers. Yeah, I think he put it. I think so. I have no idea.
3 quick questions left. Your favorite match of you just elaborate on that. You don't really. There's so many good matches, but your favorite opponent of all time, somebody that you loved wrestling with.
I love wrestling with Tajiri. He was one of my favorites, and I like tag matches too. But Tajiri and Super Crazy, I would say.
And your favorite place to wrestle in? Give us a couple of favorite venues.
My favorite place is Japan. I've been wrestling there for past 20 years. I wrestled there full time back in the early 90s. I wrestled there many a times with WWE. I love the fans. They're very appreciative. It's so weird because I'll be in Sumo Hall in front of 20,000 people, and at one point you could hear a pin drop, and the way the Japanese crowd is different. They only react when something happens. So it's just a great place. I mean, I wrestled all over the world, but I would say Japan's my favorite.
And final question, you're still wrestling on the indies. Give us some of your favorite indie promotions or places where you like to wrestle, or where fans could see you right now.
Well, they could see me all over. I was in Chicago a couple weeks ago. I mean, I do this part-time. We're in, where are we right now? Lafayette, New Jersey, you know. It all
Gino
depends.
Caruso, actually,
Gino
yeah.
Caruso, ECPW, one of the best
ECPW.
independent groups around right now. Watch us. We're coming to Virginia, coming up. But, you know, I mean, it all depends. It depends, you know, depends if I feel like traveling or how I feel like going. I turn down shows. Sometimes I don't want to go places, and it depends on money. But it all depends if I trust the promoter. You know, a lot of independent promoters suck, and you know they
Give
make.
us one you want to bury. Give us one. No? Okay.
You know what? The ones I want to bury, I really don't know that well, so I don't even know their names.
Yeah, they're not even worth it.
They're not even worth it. I know you want to hear some bad stories,
No,
but
that's fine.
I really don't have any that you know. But just I've been pretty lucky. There's been a couple of no shows, you know, no shows that went bad, and the guys didn't want to pay you. But that's the independent wrestling. So.
Right. Well, thank you so much for your time. I really do appreciate it. I know you got a match right now.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you next time.